I wasn't supposed to be the one holding the microphone. The room was glowing. Soft lights, polished glasses, the low hum of celebration. She was standing beside him in white, smiling at something someone whispered. I could still walk away. No one had noticed the way my hand tightened around the stem of the champagne flute. "Say something," someone encouraged. I stood, slow, controlled. The microphone felt heavier than it should have. I saw her face shift the moment our eyes met. Not fear, recognition. "I wasn't planning to speak," I began. My voice didn't shake. That surprised me. A few polite laughs, the kind people give when they expect sentiment. But there's something I think everyone deserves to know. The room quieted in stages, cutlery lowered, chairs stilled. He turned toward me fully now, smile thinning. She didn't. She already knew. I could still choose a safe story, a harmless memory, a toast about love and timing. Instead, I looked directly at her and said, "Last night, she was in my bed." The silence that followed didn't explode. It collapsed. And in that suspended second, before anyone reacted, I understood that whatever happened next wouldn't just ruin a wedding. It would expose a truth that had been burning quietly long before today. The champagne glass slipped from my hand and shattered at my feet. No one noticed at first. They were still laughing from the previous toast, still glowing from the certainty of the day. She was standing beside him in white, fingers laced through his, smiling the way people do when they think the story is already written. I hadn't planned to stand up, but I did. The microphone was passed to me casually. A friendly gesture. A mistake. "You've known her the longest," someone said. "Say something." I looked at her. She looked back. Just a fraction too long. "I wasn't going to speak tonight," I began. My voice sounded steady, almost kind. A few people chuckled, expecting warmth. "But after last night," I continued, "I don't think silence would be fair." His smile faded first. Hers followed a second later, not in panic, but in calculation. I could still pivot, tell a harmless story, apologize for nerves, sit down. Instead, I let the words fall. She told me she wasn't sure she loved him. The room didn't erupt. It froze, and in that frozen air, with every eye turning toward us, I understood that the wedding hadn't just changed. It had just become a confession. The silence after I said it wasn't chaotic. It was surgical. You could hear fabric shift. Someone set a glass down too carefully. A fork scraped porcelain somewhere near the back. But no one spoke. No one moved. The entire room seemed suspended between disbelief and the need for clarification. He was the first to recover. "What are you doing?" he asked, his voice low but carrying. Not angry yet. Contained. I didn't look at him. I kept my eyes on her. "She came to see me last night," I said, calm, measured. "She said she needed to think." A ripple passed through the guests. The bride's parents stiffened. A bridesmaid covered her mouth, unsure whether to laugh or gasp. She finally stepped forward, reaching for the microphone. I didn't resist. I handed it to her. That was the incident, not my accusation. Her decision to answer. She held the microphone with both hands, breathing slowly, as if recalibrating the room around her. "I didn't plan for this," she said. Not denial, not outrage, just truth. "I went to see him," she continued, "because I needed to remember who I was before this became permanent." The word hung in the air like something fragile. He stared at her, stunned. "You told me you were with your sister," he said. "I was," she replied quietly. "Until I wasn't." A murmur spread now, no longer controlled, no longer polite. The celebration had cracked, and through it, Something far more intimate was surfacing. I spoke again, not louder, but clearer. She didn't come to end the wedding, I said. She came because she wasn't sure she wanted it. Gasps. A chair scraped harshly against the floor. His face shifted from confusion to humiliation. "Did you sleep with him?" he demanded. The room braced. She didn't answer immediately. That pause did more damage than any confession could have. Finally, she looked at him. Not at me. Yes. The word landed like a blade. No screaming followed, no dramatic collapse, just the unmistakable sound of certainty dissolving in real time. That was the point of no return. Not the affair, not even the admission, but the fact that it had been spoken into a microphone, in front of witnesses, on a day designed to celebrate permanence. The wedding had turned into testimony, and no one in that room would leave unchanged. The air thickened immediately after her confession. No one knew where to look. Some guests stared at their plates, others at him, a few at me, as if I were the detonator rather than the device. The band had stopped playing without being asked. Even the waitstaff froze along the walls, unsure whether to continue serving champagne or disappear entirely. He laughed once, short, disbelieving. "This is a joke," he said, though no one smiled. She shook her head. "Not dramatically, just enough." "I didn't want to start a marriage with a lie," she said. The sentence shifted blame subtly. Not onto him, not onto me, onto the idea of deception itself. It was almost elegant. He turned to me then, finally. "You did this on purpose," he said. "Yes," I replied. No defense, no apology. Because the escalation wasn't about whether it happened. It was about who controlled the narrative. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "You could have handled this privately. And you could have asked her why she hesitated before she walked down the aisle," I answered. That hit. People were no longer pretending this was temporary. Phones were being discreetly lifted. Someone whispered that the ceremony hadn't been legally finalized yet. Details like that suddenly mattered. Her mother approached, pale and trembling. "Is this true?" she asked her daughter. She nodded. The weight of that nod traveled across the room like a physical force. He ran a hand through his hair, pacing now. The composed groom had vanished. In his place was a man calculating reputation, damage, headlines. "So what now?" he asked her, voice tight. "You humiliate me, and then what?" She looked at him for a long moment. Then at me. "I was going to marry you out of stability," she said softly. "I saw my whole future mapped out. Safe. Predictable." A few guests shifted uncomfortably. "But last night," she continued, "I realized I wasn't choosing you. I was choosing comfort." That word again. Comfort. It landed differently here. Public. Undeniable. He turned to me sharply. "And you?" he demanded. "You think this makes you a hero?" I felt every eye pivot. "No," I said. "It makes me honest." The escalation reached its peak, not in shouting, but in alignment. The room had divided itself quietly, between those who believed vows mattered more than timing, and those who understood that timing can expose the truth vows try to cover. She removed the veil slowly, not theatrically, deliberately. And in that gesture, more than any confession, everyone understood. This wedding wasn't paused, it was unraveling. And the final decision, who she walked toward when she stepped off that platform, was about to determine which version of her life survived this room. She stepped down from the platform without looking at either of us. The sound of her heels against the wooden floor echoed in the silence. No music. No whispers now. Just attention. Absolute and unforgiving. He stood frozen where he was, jaw tight, pride doing its last desperate work. I didn't move either. This wasn't my moment to claim. It was hers to choose. She stopped halfway between us. For a second, it felt almost theatrical. 2 men, 1 bride, an audience holding its breath. But there was nothing romantic about it. This wasn't about passion. It was about alignment. She looked at him first. "I was ready to promise you stability," she said. "A house, a plan, a life that made sense." He said nothing. His silence was defensive now, wounded. Then she turned to me. "And last night reminded me what it feels like to be wanted, not managed." A murmur rippled through the crowd. I didn't reach for her. I didn't interrupt. If she came toward me, it had to be because she understood the cost, not because I pulled. She inhaled slowly. "I won't marry you," she said to him. The words didn't shatter the room. They emptied it. He staggered back half a step, as if the air had shifted. "You're throwing everything away," he said. "No," she replied. "I'm refusing to build it on something false." Then she turned fully toward me. For a second, I saw it. The possibility of triumph, of vindication. But that feeling dissolved quickly under the weight of what this actually meant. If she walked to me now, it wouldn't be romantic. It would be irreversible. She stepped forward, not into my arms, just closer. "I don't know what this is yet," she said quietly, "but I know what it isn't." I nodded. That was enough. Behind us, someone finally began to cry. Chairs scraped as guests stood, unsure whether to leave or witness the rest. He removed the ring from his finger slowly, staring at it like it had betrayed him personally. "This will follow you," he said to her. Not threatening, predictive. "I know," she answered. Then she took my hand. Not passionately, not desperately, deliberately. And as we walked past the tables, past the collapsed fantasy of white linens and champagne glasses, I understood something with sharp clarity. The confession hadn't destroyed the wedding. It had revealed it. And what she chose in that room wasn't me. It was truth. Loud, messy, unforgettable truth. We didn't run. That's what people expect when something dramatic happens, that you flee, that you cling to each other like survivors. We didn't. We walked out of the venue slowly, through the same doors guests had entered hours earlier with wrapped gifts and rehearsed smiles. Outside, the air felt colder than it should have for that time of year. She let go of my hand first. "I didn't do that for you," she said. "I know," I replied. That mattered. We stood there for a moment, the noise of the reception unraveling behind us, raised voices, hurried explanations, the quiet logistics of an event collapsing in real time. I realized that what had just happened would live on in stories, in whispers, in retellings that would never fully capture the weight of it. She removed the veil completely and folded it over her arm like it was just fabric now. Not symbolism, not purity, just cloth. "Do you regret saying it?" she asked. "No," I said. And that was the truth. I didn't regret exposing what had already existed. I regretted that it took a stage and a microphone for honesty to surface. We didn't kiss. There was no cinematic closure. Just 2 adults standing in the aftermath of a choice that couldn't be softened. "What happens now?" I asked. She looked down the street, not at me. "Now," she said, "I deal with the consequences." There was no illusion in her voice, no fantasy about what we would become. The intensity of the night had stripped us of that. What was left wasn't romance. It was accountability. We didn't leave together. She walked one direction, I walked the other. Because what we'd uncovered inside that room wasn't a love story waiting to begin. It was a truth that refused to stay buried. Weeks later, the story still circulated. Some said she was reckless. Others said she was brave. He rebuilt his image quickly, from what I heard. Stability has a way of finding new hosts. As for me, I didn't gain what people assume I did. I didn't win her. What I gained was something quieter. The certainty that silence can be more destructive than confession. The wedding toast didn't end in celebration. It ended in exposure. And sometimes, exposure is the only honest beginning there is.